John Donham, CEO of TuneIn Radio, knows a thing or two about consumer tech, having worked at both Playroom and Sony Online. Now at TuneIn, John is working to provide an audio streaming app with over 100,000 radio stations and 4 million podcasts. That's a lot of podcasts. Question: if I only want to listen to radio stations that play Backstreet Boys, is that a possibility? Because that's pretty much all I want to listen to in the car. That and Katy Perry. What is TuneIn?
TuneIn is a service where you can listen to live radio stations from all over the world. So if you think about the radio in your car, you probably have about 70 options or so. On TuneIn, you have 100,000 options.
Can you name them?
All 100,000. Would you like them in alphabetical order or by genre?
I would like alphabetical order would be great. I know that you have one in Antarctica.
It's true. There's folk station in Antarctica. I guess the penguins like folk music.
Where do you think music technology is headed for the musicians and for you as a distributor?
It used to be your CD player could hold 15 songs. Now it can hold millions and millions, or all of the songs on the planet. It used to be that your radio could only reach a couple dozen stations. Now you can listen to anything around the whole world. So explosion of choice is definitely the first one, but then that creates the next problem, which is a challenge around discovery. Having access to tens of millions of songs isn't terribly helpful if you can't figure out what it is that you want to listen to. So then it becomes more about personalization and curation and trying to find the perfect thing for the perfect moment for any given user. I think there's a third trend, which is a move from ownership to access. So what we see historically is you're purchasing individual tracks, and more you don't do that anymore. You purchase access to a music library or a collection of songs that then you can choose from.
What is your business model?
Our business model is much like radio. It's free. So if you think about from a user's perspective or even an artist's perspective, there's really two things. There's a free place in which discovery and promotion happens, and there's on demand, where a user has now selected what they want and has the ability to play it over and over again. So TuneIn's on that free and discovery side. And from the advertising contained within, we make enough money to continue to develop products.
You help artists grow a following, which makes you a little more unique from a lot of the other platforms.
Yeah, historically, if you looked at radio, artists are really, really hungry to get their stations played on the radio. Most artists could tell you the first time they heard their song on the radio and how awesome that was for them. And if you think about it from a consumer's perspective, like I'm old, it used to be that I would go to like a Tower Records or a CD store. And normally you're not at a Tower Records or CD store just buying CDs because that's the way in which you discover music. You heard something on the radio and you decided you wanted to go own that. And so for us, we're all about that discovery side.
Jay-Z just held this big press conference. I'm sure you have heard all about it, about Tidal with quite a few other artists. What do you think about that?
One of the challenges today in on-demand music is that almost no one's quite happy yet. So if we look at it from TuneIn's perspective, for us, it's not really a need we try and fill. We're more of that discovery, and then our goal is to hand that user over to whichever platform they would want to pull down the music on demand that they care for. But our opinion of which one's going to win is going to be interesting, because you can't just serve users, you also have to serve the artists. And so likely it's going to be the service that's able to do both simultaneously that's going to win. In the case of Jay-Z's Tidal, my biggest question there would be, in what ways does this serve a user better than any other service that's out there?
So what do you think will be the be-all, end-all music model?
Gosh, I don't think I'm paid enough to be able to predict that future for you.
You don't know?
You should ask the cavalier that's sitting in my seat there. He probably has as good of an answer as I do. I think the end will be an intersection of two things. It'll be discovery, which is going to be primarily free, and it's going to be on demand, which is going to be primarily not. And I think the biggest challenge that the companies that are in that on-demand space are facing right now is some of them are trying to bridge the gap of being both, and trying to blur those lines. And in many respects, the question becomes, is that serving both the listener and the artist at the same time? And if it's not, then is it sustainable?
So what do we have to look forward to from TuneIn?
For us, it's all about the human at the other end of that broadcast. In music, that's obvious in things like the DJ and the curator, but we're also a large portion news, talk, and sports. Play-by-play is a ton of fun for us, and so our future looks like continuing to pull together all of those pieces of content for all of our users.
Look at this from the perspective of the musician for a moment. Do you think that ticket sales are going to be the primary way that musicians make money in the future, or do you think it's going to be by doing deals with a streaming platform like yourself?
I don't think it's going to be us that's the primary source of revenue for an artist. We're more on the discovery side. I definitely think that what happens after you've discovered an artist is the more you get engaged with that artist as a user, the more likely that that artist is going to make money on that fan. TuneIn's goal is to serve the artist in getting them in the door so that then the artist can make them more and more of a fan as they discover more about that artist.
Well, that is fascinating. You have enlightened me in so many ways, John. But I'm more interested right now in what your socks look like.
This seems to come up whenever we talk, you and I, which socks I'm wearing today. Why don't we discover?
Why don't we discover what socks are you wearing?
Let's see, I've got this one, which is blue and white stripes, and I have this one, which is red polka dots.
You always wear mismatched socks?
I'm not going to answer that question. Otherwise, you'll call me every day and ask me what I'm wearing on my left foot and my right foot.
Well, that's fantastic. And will you sing a song for me?
I will not.
I'm like the Valley Girl.
I'm like John Donham from TuneIn.
Woohoo!
High five. I'll totally do that. Ready?